Hello everyone, I Dr. Deepti welcome all of you to the YouTube channel of the Center for Science Education and Communication CSEC, which was earlier known as Science Park. Today, on the occasion of Women's Day, we are going to listen about an Indian woman scientist. Now she is very special because she happens to be the first Indian woman who got a PhD in scientific discipline. Her name is Dr. Kamala Bhagwat Sohonie. Now, we would like to take this opportunity to have an interaction with all of you. It may not be possible for all of you to all the time come physically to our center, but we can always stay in touch online. So, what I would request you is, after listening to this audio, in the comment section, please write a name of any woman scientist you know. Now, there's no barrier. It need not be just from India. It could be someone from outside India, but it has to be a woman scientist. And of course, the reason being that we have launched this episode on Women's Day. So let us celebrate the contribution of women to the field of science. And of course, as always, I'm sure you will be giving your opinion or your reaction about the episode itself again in the comment section. So let us try to interact with each other as much as possible. Okay? Happy listening and happy Women's Day. And now you can hear the episode. Hello, I'm Dr. Deepti and I'm reading aloud an article I had written on Dr. Kamala Bhagwat Sohonie, the first Indian woman to receive a PhD degree in science. When girls were mostly away from higher education and when women were mostly confined to their homes, Kamala was the first girl student to obtain PhD degree in the discipline science. Kamala was born in the academics-oriented Bhagwat family. Her father, Narayan Rao Bhagwat, and her uncle, Madhav Bhagwat, were alumni of Indian Institute of Science. At that time, this institute was called Tata Institute of Sciences. One of Kamala's sisters, Durgabai Bhagwat, went on to become a highly respected writer and scholar in the literary circles. Kamala had a liking of science since childhood. She was intelligent and hardworking student and always topped her class, not only in her school days, but also when she earned BSc degree from the Bombay Presidency College. She decided to follow the footsteps of her father and uncle by joining IISc for masters. Little did she know that this decision of hers will prove to be a turning point not only in her life but also for all the future women science doctorates. Kamala and her father visited IISc for the admission to PhD degree. But to their dismay, they were informed by the head of the institution that IISc does not admit girls for PhD. The head of the institution was none other than Professor C.V. Raman, who had won Nobel Prize for the discovery of Raman effect. An ordinary girl would have given up her dreams after being denied admission. But Kamala was not an ordinary girl. She was a spirited and determined person, and on learning that the reason for denial to admission was incompetence in girls, she decided to demonstrate her resistance through the non-violent method of satyagraha. On seeing her determination, she was granted admission, but the nature of the admission was on probation or conditioned. So what were these conditions? She had to ensure that she worked very hard even at nights if need be and would not spoil the environment of the lab. Although the conditions were insulting to Kamala, she decided to bite the bullet. She had always been very sincere and dedicated about her work. But here she vowed to work doubly hard to fulfill the challenge. She used to work in the laboratory of knowledgeable and strict teacher Srinivasayya from 5 am to 10 pm and then studied in the library. Her only respite was sometime in the evening when she played tennis. Her hard work paid off, and after a year, she was accepted as a regular researcher in biochemistry. Kamala's research work was based on proteins in milk, pulses, and legumes. As expected, she performed exceedingly well and completed her master's with distinction. This was not just a personal victory for Kamala. This small step proved to be a giant leap as it paved the way for admission of girls in the IISc. Kamala has been recognized for her pioneering work in biochemistry. But more importantly, she is recognized as a forerunner in the field of higher education for women. Along with the completion of master's degree with flying colors, Kamala's credentials won her a scholarship to do research in one of the most acclaimed international university, namely the Cambridge University, UK. Even here, she continued her pioneering streak as she became the first woman recipient of the scholarship offered by Bombay Presidency. In 1937, Kamala began her research work in Cambridge in the laboratory of Dr. Derek Richter and then went on to work under Robin Hill. Kamala completed her PhD work in record break time and represented her work in a thesis of mere 40 pages. When the degree of PhD was conferred on her at Cambridge, she became the first Indian woman scientist to earn a PhD degree. Kamala won fellowships and was able to work under Nobel laureate F. Hopkins. Because of her expertise, Kamala received many offers for jobs, but she decided to work in India. After serving as professor and head of the newly started Department of Chemistry of Lady Hardinge College in New Delhi and as an assistant director of the Nutrition Research Lab of Kunnur, Kamala eventually joined as professor in the newly started Institute of Science in Bombay or Mumbai. After a few years, she became the first woman director of the institute. Kamala worked on diverse entities in her research life. Few highlights of her vast research work would be the work on pulse proteins during her master's at IISc, followed by work on the enzyme cytochrome C during PhD, her work on vitamins, legume proteins, or her work on NERA, which won her Rashtrapati Medal. One finds commonalities in all these works. All of these works are relevant to the daily life of common man, and most importantly, they are original in keeping with the pioneering trait of Kamala. Kamala's life was devoted to science research. Ironically, she breathed her last during ceremony organized by Indian Council of Medical Research, that is ICMR, in order to commemorate her research work. It is said that we see further by standing on the shoulders of giants. This petite pioneer proved to be a torchbearer not just for Indian biochemists, but for all the women scientists, not only from India, but from all over the world. Thank you.